Just when some viewers gathered from my last report that I deemed Second Life not ripe for companies with their eye on the ROI, this last April weekend seemed to prove that perception wrong. Two very different events focused on showcasing SL's strengths for facilitating business. The V-Expo, put on by Clever Zebra, delivered 5 days of lectures and entertainment featuring speakers from Sun, O'Reilly Media, and K0, as well as many educators. V-Expo was aimed at the curious business newbie who might be turned off by talk of a corporate exodus. David Fennick of staffing agency Kelly Services held the keynote address on opening day.
If you're sitting in the audience and you're wondering, should we get into this? What I would say is get in the pool now. Learn how to swim now while you still have the opportunity to be in a shallow end, or while there's still a shallow end that even exists.
Another event substantially lower on the public's radar took place in a nondescript office building on the outskirts of the main grid. The Federal Consortium of Virtual Worlds met for 2 days in SL and at the National Defense University in Washington, D.C. And although my colleagues Rita King and Josh Fouts were on one panel,
all aspects of government have a role in this globally interconnected world that we live in today in facilitating cultural dialogue.
I had no luck with getting the Washington Times to open up before my virtual microphone. These people are tight-lipped, even the Lindens attending. Except for a short mixed reality relay between V-Expo's Nick Wilson and the panelists in DC, one had to speculate as to the reasons why SL is of interest to our beloved bureaucrats. On Clever Zebra, meanwhile, Communications Director Jen Hinrichs is more than willing to share her sense of how businesses are doing in SL today.
The companies that are here and are doing it right, they're having success. There isn't a lot of press about them because they're happily going about doing their business. They don't feel the need to broadcast a bunch about it because they're busy doing the things that they're there to do.
Longtime resident Fleep Took from the University of Cincinnati in Ohio was at the event as well. She was delighted by the mix of business and educational speakers.
We often have many of the same goals. When one side or the other finds something that's useful or does an experiment even that fails, we can learn from each other. Both the business community and the education community is saying, how can we take virtual world technology and use it to improve what's happening in the real world?
I couldn't have said it better. While listening to the lag-induced beats of the Virtual Life band, I felt deeply for the many entrepreneurs whose heads must be spinning after a weekend filled with so much information. So why not take a cue from 2 recent headlines? Yes, common sense tells us that such behavior would be unwise, but the German portal web.de reminds us with the following headline, roughly translated as "Reason arrives after the hype is over, calmness in Second Life." So let's sip some virtual tea and take a breather. The rest of the world is arguing over HD radio and the switch to digital TV in 2009, for God's sake.
I heard about it, but I'm not really familiar about it.
Let's face it, we are way ahead of the curve. For Life for You News, I'm Draxtor Despres.